feet, and he's going to show me how to plow.
Pull the rope. Okay, pull your rope.
All right, here we go.
There you go. Let her out. Pull the throttle down.
Pull the throttle down. Sorry about that.
Yeah, pull her down all the way. There you go. That's it. Got her.
It's been in my family since December the 31st of 1951. My granddad bought it secondhand at an auction in Clinton, Illinois. The gentleman that owned it prior to him was carrying diesel fuel to it and cream cans and whatever he could get a hold of, and was dumping debris and dirt down in the fuel system, and it wouldn't pull a two-bottom plow. So my grandpa bought it and took it home, cleaned the fuel system on it, got it running again, and it's been in our family ever since. Diesel tractors were kind of few and far between at this time. This was Oliver's first real big attempt at making a diesel tractor, and they had the 77s and the 88s that they came out with. I believe 49 was the first year that they came out with the diesel tractors, and we've always had diesel tractors. My grandpa never owned a gas tractor hardly. The Super 77s came after the 77s, and they did away with this louvered engine panel. A lot of times back in the day, these tractors would run just a little hot because of the enclosed motor, so farmers would take the side panels off of them and either stick them in a shed or a barn, throw them in a fence row someplace, and they'd be lost over the years. And a lot of tractors you go to get on auction don't have the panels on them anymore. There's reproductions of them. We happen to still have the side curtains for this tractor. They're original. But later on, the Super Series, they did away with this and just put a C panel in here so that the motor was all open and you could see in there to the motor. And after the Super Series, then the 770 and 880 Olivers came out in the late 50s. Then you get into the early 60s with the 1800 series tractors. I restored the tractor in the summer of '04, and that fall I put a two-bottom Oliver plow on it, and it was the first time it had plowed in over 50 years down at Clinton, Illinois. I had the motor overhauled in '04 prior to the restoration. The tractor had been sitting on a grinder mixer mixing chicken feed, and it spun the rear main and the number 6 connecting rod bearing. So I got the motor overhauled and decided I didn't want to put it back into the rusty old tractor. I wanted to have something that was nice that I could take to a plow day or a parade or something. This was my first attempt at painting the tractor. I've been buying and restoring farm toys since I was in high school, and I decided it was about time that I moved up a little bit bigger in life. So I did all the body work and the paint myself.
It's a 1966 U302 Minneapolis Moline. I bought this through Aumann's at the Eberston auction 2 years ago. This is the first day plowing with it and the plow. It's a 3/14. It's a Minneapolis Moline M3300 plow. Well, for as little prepared as what the plow was. Crops aren't out around home yet, so this was kind of the first trial and setting everything, and towards the end it went pretty good, but right at first it was a little rocky. This is the first time I've ever plowed with a 3-point plow, a fully mounted 3-point plow. Used to semi-mounted plows, and it's a whole different ball game, but we got her tuned in pretty well.
What kind of adjustments would you think you'll have to make?
Oh, just setting the way the plow pulls behind the tractor. You know, at first it wants to pull to the right or pull to the side, and trying to get everything squared up and your depth adjusted right from the front bottom to the back bottom.
This is a 1964 Massey Ferguson 35. Has a Continental engine in it. This was a nice little tractor. Supposed to be a 3-bottom, but everybody kind of exaggerates their horsepower. Bought it right where Indiana, Kentucky, and Illinois come together. It had a hole in the tire, and they'd been using it, and it's pushed the calcium out and the fan sucked it through, and it was pretty rusty. One tire, one rim was rusted up completely, had to replace it. I take it to shows and tractor drives, it's excellent. Like we go to Chapin, Illinois and take probably a 25 to 35 mile ride. We went over to New Salem State Park from Ashland, and we went from Pittsfield, left at 9 o'clock, got home at 4:30 in the afternoon, had a beautiful time. A lot of pretty scenery in that part of the world. It was for smaller acreage and a chore tractor. It was an excellent little chore tractor. It was easy to get off and on, low down. Old men can step up on the step of it and mount it. When you get to here, you can just put your foot on it and get in. It's just a nice little tractor. Power steering, 6-speed transmission. It's just a good little tractor. In this series, there was a 25 that was made in France, I believe, and then the 35 and a 65 and an 85 that was built about this time. And then they came with a 90, which was a big improvement over the 85. The 85 was really not that dependable. But this little tractor and a 65 were really dependable.
I plow about every year. This is the first time I plowed with this tractor. We plowed at Meridosha, and with the other tractors, I plowed at Chapin already, and I plowed at home. We've had a plowing one at 04, and we plowed at Athens, and I plowed at Greenville already. My dad bought the one in the 44 Massey Harris Standard in 1947, a brand new one, and I still have that one, and I restored it. And he also has a 1936 WC, and I restored it. And so about 15 years ago, I started to collect the Massey Harris tractors, and I have about 14 right now. And plus I have other kind of tractors also. I have an Oliver plow. It's a 3/18 Oliver, and I restored it last year. And I have about 15 of these plows, different kind, Massey Harris's and International. It's been set in a fence rower for about 40 years, and the tires and rims are all rotted out. And I had completely taken it apart and restore it, sandblast it, and paint it. Try and get it scoured first, and then after you get it scoured, then you can start setting it, and setting your cutters and setting your depth and whatever. So have to get this moldboard shiny so the soil will slip on it. Just have to keep plowing, and every time you get to an end, you just clean it off. So it just takes a while to get one scoured. You put a clear coat on or a plow coat on it, and that keeps it from rusting. It's a liquid you just brush right on there, and it gets hard, and it keeps it from rusting.
Can you guess the model of this tractor? We'll have the answer when we return.